consciousness is a tragic evolutionary misstep.
We're all gonna die. All of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We're terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We're eaten up by nothing.
Back with another deep dive, another great video from the Functioning Melancholic. Check him out, because I think he's awesome. He always gets me thinking and then always inspires me to make a video. And he was talking about watching True Detective season 1, and it's right at the beginning of season 1. Marty and Rust are driving in their car through this almost apocalyptic landscape, a small town somewhere in the US. And obviously they are following this horrific murder. Anyone in any mindset after seeing something like that, or having seen multiple murders in that way, would question humanity and the sanity of humanity. So Marty, he's the more optimistic one, you know, life, well, I'd say he's quite a realist, and he's having a chat there, trying to keep things upbeat and not too heavy. And of course, Rust comes in and he goes straight for the jugular. He goes deep. Something I would probably do. Actually, I'm probably a little bit of both. I find life quite humorous and I don't take it too seriously. I do have moments where, as of now, like I'm sitting here with you and I'm just pondering what the Functional Melancholic had to say. I love it. I love it. It's raw. It's crazy. So we're in this car, the scene, and then Rust says something, and this is what my video is kind of based on. Consciousness is a tragic evolutionary misstep. Phew, it's quite heavy. If we look at monkeys and baboons and apes and all those that we are supposed to have come from, if you believe in evolution, what he's saying is when humans became conscious, Kitty's here, that was the great misstep. What do you think, Kitty? Was it the great misstep? So I'm going to put in the little video where it shows this conversation, because I think it's quite beautiful and raw. This man is using some sort of black humor, and it really proves to us that he's kind of allergic to the illusion of life, that life is all hunky-dory and happy, and we fed the medicine of hope, optimism, create the life you want. I still believe in that. I still believe what you project out into the world, your state of mind, you push good thoughts into the universe, or at least honest, compassionate thoughts into the universe, that good things will come your way. But this is raw. and the one thing I just love about this Functional Melancholic is he is just so, this is me, proud to be me, and man, how can you not like that? I love authentic and real. Anyway, let's have a look at authentic and real in this video clip from True Detective season 1.
Do me a courtesy, okay? I'm not trying to convert you.
Look, I'd consider myself a realist, all right? But in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Okay, what's that mean?
Means I'm bad at parties.
Let me tell you, you ain't great outside of parties either.
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We are creatures that should not exist by natural law. We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self, this accretion of sensory experience and feeling, programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody.
I wouldn't go around spouting that shit I was you. People around here don't think that way. I don't think that way.
I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
So, what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning?
I tell myself I bear witness. The real answer is that it's obviously my programming.
my luck, I picked today to get to know you.
I get a bad taste in my mouth out here.
I got an idea. Let's make the car a place of silent reflection from now on. Okay?
What should I bring for dinner?
Oh, what did you think of that? Great acting. Well scripted. Imagine it had really come from someone. Imagine it was someone's truth. Go and look at the Functional Melancholic. You'll see he's like Rust, but he's the real version. I'm going to bring up a couple of quotes from his video. He says, if you look at that video of the True Detective, Rust is doing some sort of surgery with his words. So when you do surgery, you cut into something that needs to be fixed. Surgery is invasive. It's not natural, but it needs to be done. He's slicing into the polite fiction that existence is fundamentally good and progress is inevitable. So that's what we sold. We are sold that we are moving forward as a species, and the fact that we are conscious and alive means that there is hope and that life is beautiful. But that movie, Life is Beautiful, oh, I'm going to see if I can find some clips from there. That movie gave me so much hope. Here's a guy.
Voltati, principessa, voltati, volta.
Much hope. Here's a guy in a concentration camp.
Detto, cerca uno che parla tedesco, spiega tutte le regole del campo.
Alles Herren, ich sage das nur einmal.
Comincia il gioco. Chi c'è, chi non c'è, non c'è.
Ihr einzigen Grund in dieses Lager transportiert worden?
Si vince a 1000 punti. Il primo classificato vince un carro armato, vero?
With his kid.
Vorwärts! Geh doch!
And he still manages to stay optimistic and find the beauty in all the madness.
We'll give you a lift. Come on.
Abbiamo vinto!
Sì, abbiamo vinto. Gesù.
Primi si ritorna a casa col carro armato! Abbiamo vinto!
There's a writer. I'll have to find the book. I know I have it here. I'll look for it. Viktor Frankl. And he wrote and researched all about the Nazi concentration camps and the Jews that made it out alive. The only reason why some made it out alive and the others didn't, according to him, is that the ones that made it out alive had meaning in their lives. They had a reason to survive. They had something to look forward to. As much as I love the Functional Melancholic's way of putting things, I do believe that your mindset can help you survive. Positive mindset in a horrific environment has saved many people. Tom Hanks acts in the movie, he's stranded on that island. And I can honestly say the only reason why he survives and doesn't just allow himself to starve and die is because he actually decides he wants to live and that living is worthwhile. And he makes a plan. He even makes a friend to keep him mentally sane from a ball. There's something to believing in something greater than yourself. I'm just putting these things out there that many people have actually survived to live the tale purely because they decided to change the narrative in their brain. They chose to see things that might be an illusion, they might not be real, but it helped them survive. The Functional Melancholic, he says, the darkness you're told to avoid might not be darkness at all. It might only be part of the room that isn't painted over in neon. Let that sink in. Imagine the world as a room. And everyone's trying to put their optimistic bits of color all over the room. And in that way, we're covering over truths. So those that seek to look a little bit more pessimistically or realistically might end up finding the pieces of the room or the pieces of the world that are actually authentic and real, because they're choosing to see what is. They're choosing to see the honesty in the darkness. They're choosing to see that suffering is honest, it's authentic, it's raw. You're not trying to pretend that your suffering isn't there. A lot of what life throws at us is all about finding dopamine hits and finding feel-good things, from the foods we eat to the things we buy. It's all there to somehow make us feel better in that minute of life. There are healthy dopamine hits, going out in nature, speaking to a good friend. I think we're ultimately always looking for something to help us feel a little bit better. Think about that first cup of coffee in the morning, or that glass of wine in the evening, or that cigarette you have on your balcony or out on the lawn in the evenings, just to go, I made it. Honesty towards seeing the darkness can cut you open and make you more human at the same time. I guess while we're trying to find all of these ways to avoid our suffering, we're not really embracing our humanness, because to be human is to, the pessimist would say, is to suffer. I think to be human in my mind is to rise above suffering, to acknowledge the suffering, to acknowledge that 99% of life is probably not going to go your way, but to also embrace the fact that you can control the narrative in some ways. You can control the way you react. You can control if a situation doesn't go your way, you can decide to surrender to that and make peace with that. Or you can choose, like Turner did in his painting when he tied himself to the mast of a ship in the storm, to see, if he's in the storm, is he going to survive or is he going to die? And how he just shouts up to the sky, give me your worst. You can choose to just say, I'm just going to sit in the storm and a lightning might strike me while I'm on the mast of the ship, but hey, kumbaya. Or you can choose to just like, come on, I want to feel everything. I don't care if it's bad or good. If I die on this mast, I just want to feel. I want to feel the rain in my face. I want to feel the fear of the wind blowing me off the mast. I want to feel something. Feel something. So maybe suffering is a way of getting us out of our dull state of sort of sleep. It's one way of shaking us awake. It's not a very nice way, but it is a way of telling us you're alive, you're here. Because when something hurts, you can't avoid it. Although we immediately will look for the next place to hide away from our pain. And that's very human. It's not anything to be ashamed of. I think the paradox or the ironic bit of it is that if you fight the pain or avoid the pain, it gets stronger. So if you fight the darkness or avoid the darkness, it gets stronger. But if you shine your light on the darkness, or you choose to embrace the pain, surrender to the pain, it certainly eases. I think about my times when I was in a very deep depression in my 20s. And I remember the day I just decided to surrender to it, stop fighting it, wishing I'd known that from the start, because the shame I felt and the self-punishment I felt, or I inflicted on myself for not being normal, for not coping, for not being, I just didn't want to be depressed. I don't want to be sad. I just want to be back to my normal, happy self. And the only way I ever escaped my depression was just to surrender to it with gentleness. And every day, just letting it be there and allowing myself to feel everything that was happening. And allowing myself to have good or bad days. If I needed to have a day in bed, not to force myself to get out and be happy. Just allowing myself to be in the space that life needed me to be in at that time. Depression, in some respects, when it gets really bad, it's almost a cocoon. It's almost a hibernation where your body, your mind, and the world is just trying to tell you stop. I am going to debilitate your mind in such a way that you will not be able to do anything but just stop. Look within. Embrace what is within. Fix what's within. Stop running away from everything that haunts you. And once I started doing that, I remember I saw that tiny, brief bit of light wherever it was, the end of this tunnel of darkness. And it took me a long time, but I slowly walked my way out of that. Obviously, with the help of medication, with the help of therapy and friends. It's not an easy path. But I can attest to the fact that the minute I just said it's okay to be here, it's okay to be depressed, it's okay to be in this dark space right now. There was something about that surrender that just made everything easier. Almost like my mind pinned me down and said, stop. I'm going to make you stop. I'm going to break you until you stop biting. Just lie still and listen. Maybe that's what depression is all about, or the dark moments. Philosophers, the melancholic dude, the functional melancholic. I like you. I'd like to meet you one day. I think we could have very, very deep conversations. But this is not an ode to the functional melancholic. I'm just inspired by what he says, and I like to make videos after I've watched something of his, which is amazing. How many other people is he reaching in that way? That's what I love about YouTube. Something each of us says in our own unique way, in our own rawness and honest way when we're speaking to the screen. Someone on the other side will listen. And it might just start something in the brain of somebody that will lead to a smile of knowing that they're not alone. That's how I felt, or that's how I feel when I watch him. I also watch him with as much as I love his raw honesty and the fact that he embraces that he's a pessimist and sees life so rawly and honestly. I also want to say to him, just go and do something that makes you happy. Not to avoid the conflicting thoughts in your brain, but just to not be so serious. Seriousness will kill you. Philosophers talk about existence is built on suffering, and compassion is the medicine. Turning your suffering and your despair into an art form. Having fidelity to the truth. Turning despair into an art form. Artists do that all the time, poets, philosophers. If everything was hunky-dory and happy, how many artists would we have? How many great works of art? I think of myself as a musician. The times I've performed the best on the piano, the times I have written the most beautiful pieces have been when I have been suffering. Look at all the well-known artists out there, Van Gogh. I don't actually know how many artists, musicians out there haven't got something instilled deep down inside them where they are acknowledging their suffering and they're saying it hurts like hell and I have to speak it out of me through my art. I can attest to that. And strangely enough, the functional melancholic, he's a musician. So the question is, do we become artists and musicians because we naturally have a personality of despair? We're all being given this intellectual hygiene in a world that's drunk on hope. Maybe, I think what he was trying to say there is when you are facing the truth and you're facing the harsh reality of the world, you can use your intelligence to clean up this nonsense, that the nonsense of the world that is drunk on hope. Isn't it a bit fake to pretend that everything's okay all the time, to be happy all the time? I wonder when last I just sat and had a moment just to grieve. Grieve for the things I've lost and the things I'd hoped for that never happened. I don't like being in that space. I want to remain positive and happy for those around me. I don't have the time to grieve. But what he is saying is that, how about grieving? How about intellectually cleaning up all this hocus pocus, hope, happiness, this is the way of life? Clean that out of your brain. Face the worst, face your worst, and find clarity through facing things. Pessimism, realism, it doesn't coddle. It helps you find clarity. It's there to console you. So when you suddenly see the truth, it doesn't want you to wallow and go, oh man, you know, this life has no meaning, and we just all little blips in time, and we're just little atoms and molecules in this big mess of the Big Bang. Let's say that's what you suddenly come to. What's the consolation? What makes you feel okay about that? Maybe that you feel more awake. Maybe that you feel that you are not avoiding quite a horrible thing to think about. It makes pain almost make more sense, because ultimately that is what life is, suffering. I mean, the Buddhists talk about it all the time. That you should expect suffering. If you just expect it, then it won't be such a surprise. And you won't fight it. You'll just roll with it. And you won't wallow in it. And you won't meet your suffering with panic. We are all anxious. We are all lonely. I don't know if there's anyone in the world that could honestly say they don't feel lonely. I think loneliness just comes from the fact that we're all unique. Our brains are all wired differently, and the way we see things and feel things is all so individual. We're never going to find somebody else that we can say, hey, that happened to me today. I mean, there's nobody else that's going to have your life. And therefore, you will always be alone in some respects and feel lonely. So suffering and loneliness is part of it. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't see suffering and loneliness or the ultimate ending of the world and life as necessarily something bad. I think it makes life interesting. It gives it texture and furriness, and takes us away from the bland, to be happy all the time. That kind of would be, we need something to rub up against, so you can't be happy unless you felt sadness. Those that have felt the most suffering will feel the deepest joy and happiness and gratitude for life. I guess that's why I celebrate my suffering sometimes. I remember when I was young, this is going to be very strange to you, going through phases where I felt like I was not growing or moving forward as within myself. I felt like I wasn't, there was no growth happening, and I remember saying, okay, life, it's time. More suffering, please, so I can grow, so I can awaken and become more aware. And that's strange because I was really small. And somehow life had taught me that the calm seas are not the place for deliverance. It's not the place for the for the radical awakening of your soul. Calm seas are not going to do that. You don't become a great seaman, sailor on calm seas. And you can't become great at life if your life is always easy. Oh, this is beautiful. And this is a great message for anyone today. You don't have to win at life to justify your existence. Just because today you're not winning, or any day, doesn't mean that you need to shame yourself and say, well, why am I even on this planet? I'm not making a difference. You don't need to make a difference in order to justify your existence. Oh, this is good. This is so funny. So once you're a pessimist or someone who's completely like a realist, like I would say I'm an optimist, but not in a fake way. I just choose to see the humor in life. But let's look at people that are more pessimistic. For them, this is true. You don't have to look for darkness because it's already on the schedule. What pessimists are saying is that they already know that darkness and suffering is on the schedule of your life. So they already ahead of time know things. Hey, what you doing? What you trying to do? Come say hello to the people. What are you finding up there? What are you seeing? Do you see something that you like? Please don't attack me again. Hello? Oh no. Okay, I'm going to let you go. I can see your tail is wagging. Uh-huh. Okay. Ow, ow, ow. See, you've got to have a bit of humor. You can go into a deep dive of things. You can talk about the deep and important things in life, but sometimes just take a break. Say hello to your cat. So, darkness and suffering is already on the schedule. Accept it, surrender to it. And then see every beautiful thing that comes your way as just grace. And feel grateful when the rainbow comes your way. So I guess pessimists believe that it's raining all the time. And maybe for 5% of your lifetime, the sun will come out and the rainbow will be there for you to enjoy it. I wouldn't say that. Not for my life anyway. I think I have more rainbows and sunshine than rain. I think it's because I choose to see it. This is nice. Raw honesty. When you are raw and honest with yourself, it's a form of kindness. When you say, hey, I'm not okay today. Just let go. Surrender. It's fine. That's a form of kindness to yourself. Instead of lying to yourself saying, I'm fine. I'm going to get through today and everything's going to be good and the world's not coming to an end. Now about some days, just saying, my raw truth today is that I'm not okay and that I can admit that to myself and not feel ashamed. To accept that life has built-in chaos. Think about this. Those that are hard to fool in life, those that are completely honest and open, we trust people like that. Think about the people you watch on YouTube or the people you enjoy having a conversation with. The ones that are brutally honest and authentic are the ones you stay to listen to or want to hang out with. They make you feel safe. And you feel like you can trust them because there's something that vibrates off them. That humanness, that embracing of their humanness. They're not faking it to make it. These type of people, they refuse to participate in the forced smile. Yeah, I've certainly known people where smiling is not really on their agenda. Happiness is not on their agenda. I smile because, to me, I have a happiness inside me and that's who I am. But I can tell you now that I appreciate and respect people where smiles don't come easily. And they stick with that. They don't participate in fake smiling or when you say how. I mean, the funniest. I've got some people I know where they're not many of them, but damn, I love them. When you walk past them and go, hey, how are you? Not good. on a daily basis. I love that. I far more appreciate those people than the others that go, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. Everything's good. Not good. So bloody cool. Going back to a few thoughts that the Functional Melancholic said, he said that we're all being conned in some way and that you must stop being conned. And so my question would be, what is the con? And this is what the con is. If you're not happy, it's your fault. It's your fault for thinking the wrong thoughts. Come on, meditate harder. Find more dopamine hits. You can be happy. It's your fault for deciding to wallow in your negativity. Be more spiritual. Read more spiritual books. Watch more enlightenment demonstrations. Go do some yoga on the beach with other spiritually fake people. I'm not saying that all people that do yoga on the beach are fake. I'm not saying that. But they're faking their way to, which is sometimes a good thing. Sometimes to fake your way to happiness. Changing your mindset, which is exactly what the Functional Melancholic is saying. No, don't do that. Just stay real. But I don't necessarily think sitting in your suffering for longer than you need to is a good thing. Find meaning. Find meaning. Find something that is your bliss and makes you want to. I guess that's the way to get away from suffering in a healthy way. And maybe the lesson of suffering is move. You're not a tree, move. I'm going to make you suffer right now because you need to gain momentum to move on to the next thing. And so it's all fun and well to acknowledge, hey, I'm in a shitty space now and life is terrible, but move and change your direction. I think it's a bit of food for thought. This is good. Once you stop expecting the universe to play nice, you stop taking its slaps so personally. And we're all travelers in the same bad weather. I don't know about that. I can see that someone that is in a dark place would feel like we're all in the storm. We're all on a boat and it's throwing us around and we're probably going to die. And then some plonker will be playing his little musical instrument, or like when the Titanic's sinking, the orchestra playing, and everyone will think, why do you do that? Just slide into the water and die. But I don't believe that we are sitting in a storm. I don't believe we sit on the Titanic. I don't believe that life is a sinking ship. I think if you've got that mindset, life is going to give you what you expect. The Functional Melancholic, he ends off with, don't expect anything and you'll never be disappointed. And yet sometimes life gives you grace. I think my thoughts on the whole video he created is that authenticity, honesty towards yourself and the suffering and the life that you're living in day by day, it's important to acknowledge. It's important to acknowledge and not to smile through it and go, rather be the guy, when I ask you how you are, say not good. But at the same time, be the guy that today says not good, but tomorrow says much better. There has to be a progression. There has to be an understanding that suffering is there to catapult you into something else. More suffering, I do not know. But I do know that we are born in this world to grow, to write our story. And you can choose to write your story of suffering and disappointment and death. Or you can choose to write your story of despair, suffering, that catapults you to say, enough, I will not be put into this corner for a minute longer, I'm going to act. I am in control of the story, and today I am going to flip it on its head. I'm going to choose meaning. Even if some people feel that life has no meaning, I don't really care what you think, or what, I don't really care if some people believe that there is no meaning to life and we are born and we die. It's fine. You can choose to sit in the audience and watch the rest of us act on stage. I did a Alan Watts video a little while ago where he says that this whole life thing is as if we are in a dream. And some of us wake up, and when we see the people that are still in the dream, we just like wake up, But ultimately, don't be part of the dream, but be part of the show of life. Someone decided to give you a part in this world theater. Why not play your part? And at the same time, acknowledging that you are not the part you're playing. Participate. Don't just sit in despair and say there's no point, because there is a point. The point is to lie on your deathbed one day and say, I wrote my own story. See you next time. Let's end off with the Functional Melancholic, because thank you for inspiring me to do this video, and here's to you.
Not to marinate in despair, but to keep your eyes clear. Another quiet shift, giving yourself permission to like things without always turning them into investments of hope. How about just enjoy a good day without demanding a lifetime of them? Enjoy a person without expecting them to complete you somehow. Maybe even try to enjoy work without expecting it to save you. I think that move from entitlement to appreciation is pessimism's unexpected little gift. And listen, none of this will make you immune to pain, but I think it can make you less surprised by it, less insulted by it, and therefore less likely to pass it on.